Now we are discussing about physical transmission media, UTP, STP, coax and fiber optic cables. We have already discussed about the physical transmission media. Now particularly we are discussing about the wired transmission. We are not bothering about the wireless transmission like radio waves or infrared waves. Here we are discussing about the wired media. In this we are discussing twisted pair. As the name suggests, here the wires will be twisted. Generally we will communicate in these twisted pair cables either voice or data. In the old telephone lines and now also we are using majoritarily twisted pair cables only for the voice communication. Data up to 100 Mbps data we can transmit through these twisted pair cables. UTP means unshielded twisted pair cable and STP means shielded twisted pair cable. The only difference between the UTP and STP is, in the STP we will have the shield, but in the UTP we do not observe the shield. That is the only difference between the UTP and STP. UTP was used in telephony. Now also we are using UTP for the telephony. Compared to UTP, STP is more costly because we are using the additional shield for the twisted pair. Here in the twisted pair we are using two conductors. These two are conductors. We are communicating, we are sending the information between these two conductors. In olden days we used to take these two lines in parallel, but the problem what occurred there is noise. Because these two lines which we are taking, they are parallel, the noise is coming like a parallel plate capacitor. There is a dielectric medium and two parallel plates are there, that capacitive effect is there and that is inducing the voltage which is not relevant for us. That's why we have twisted these conductors. Instead of using directly as a parallel plates, we are twisting these conductors. That's why this is called as a twisted pair cable. And this twisting reduced the noise. Here on this twisted pair we are using an insulator, that might be either PVC or any insulator which is not conducting, that will not cause any interference to the next cable. What is the advantage of these twisted pair cables? One is flexible. Because of the flexibility only we are twisting the wire. And the next one, this is cheaper compared to the coax and fiber optic cable we will discuss. This is very much cheaper and installation is also easy. This installation becomes very much easy. That's why from long time we are using the twisted pair cable. Disadvantage. The disadvantage is crosstalk. What is this crosstalk? Example, one person wants to communicate with the other person. That voice will go in this twisted pair. But at the same time, sometimes when you lift the phone call, you will listen to some other voice. You never heard about that. That is what we are calling as a crosstalk. That information which is not required to us we are receiving, or the information which is not relevant to us, that is displaying by using this twisted pair. That's why the disadvantage of crosstalk is there. This crosstalk will be avoided in coming cables we will discuss. Next one is shielded twisted pair. In this shielded twisted pair, the only extra thing we are using is the shield. We are using same conductor and the conductors are twisted, but we are using the shield. A metal shield we are using on the insulated conductors. Why we have to insulate the conductors? Because the metallic shield should not disturb these conductors. On these conductors we are using the shield material. On that shield material we are using again metallic shield. This metallic shield only we are calling the shielded twisted pair. Here crosstalk is reduced because we have used the metallic shield. Generally on the metal, when an electromagnetic light or any electromagnetic wave when it falls on the metal, it will reflect. So because we are using the metallic shield, there is a chance for the reduction of the noise and there is a chance for the reduction of the crosstalk. We are not saying crosstalk is being eliminated. We are not saying noise is being eliminated, but we are only mentioning that noise is being reduced, and we are only saying that crosstalk is being reduced. How much crosstalk is being reduced, that will depend upon the what is the quality of the shielded material you are using on the insulated conductors. So category we have, but the disadvantage is compared to the UTP cable, STP cable is bulky because we are using additional metallic shield. This will become bulky because we are using additional metallic shield. Compared to UTP, STP cost will become more. These are the two disadvantages. But still, when we require a safe communication, a crosstalk less communication, like in army, we observe the STP cables only. For our normal communication, we generally use the UTP cables only. So we have different categories of the twisted pair cables: category 1, category 2, category 3, and category 4 and category 5. In the category 1, we can transmit the data and we can transmit the voice, but this data we are transmitting, we can transmit only less amount of data. That's why we never use the category 1 cable for the data. We use category 1 cables only for the voice communication, mainly for the basic telephony. In category 2, we transmitted not only voice data until 4 Mbps. In category 3, this data rate increased to 10 Mbps. In category 3, we are using 3 twists for 1 foot. 1 foot, we are twisting the cable 3 twists. If we use 3 twists, then it is capable of reducing the crosstalk, whatever we mentioned, the disadvantages here we are getting reduction of the noise, and the crosstalk can be reduced when we use the 3 twists per foot. In category 4, we are using again 3 twists per foot. The same category 3 cable, whatever we are using, we are enhancing that. In category 4, the data rate is 16 Mbps. Here category 4 cable can send voice, along with that it can send also data until 16 Mbps. And in category 5, we can send voice and we can send the data until 100 Mbps. So as of now, by using the twisted pair cable, we can send the data with the rate of 100 Mbps, and parallelly we can send the voice also. Now we are discussing about the coaxial cable. In this coaxial cable, generally you observe whenever you see your TV line, cable TV, that is a coax cable. That is 75 ohms impedance coax cable. In this coaxial cable, we will have central conductor. Why we are using here conductor, 2 metallic plates, and here also we are conducting? Because we want the information to be traveled continuously. That's why we generally don't want the resistance should affect it. That's why we generally use the conductive material only inside. And around this central conductor, we are using an insulating sheet. And outside of around this insulating sheet, again we use the conductor. A conductor followed by an insulating sheet, followed by a conductor, and followed by an insulating sheet. And outermost layer we are using a plastic layer. Because we are using the plastic layer, electromagnetic interference will be reduced. Next we are discussing about how this coax cable, what is the advantage and what are the disadvantages with respect to twisted pair cables. First disadvantage is expensive. We are using how many layers? We are using central conductor. On that central conductor we are using insulator. On that again we are using central conductor. On that again we are using insulator and plastic cable. That's why the cost is more. It is expensive compared to the twisted pair cable. And it is less flexible. Twisted pair cable we can twist as number of ways we want, but it is less flexible. Example, in a building you have many turnings. You want to install the coaxial cable, then your information will not be the same from the source to destination. So wherever the more curves are there, wherever in the building you require more loops, then it is not advised to use the coax cable. Then you can go for the twisted pair cable. Where there is a chance for the twists and turns, then you have to go for the twisted pair cable only. There are mainly 3 categories in the coax cable: RG59, RG58 and RG11. RG59 cable, 75 ohms impedance is there. Generally we use it for the cable TV. cable TV broadcasting information can be carried through this RG59 cable, and RG58 and RG11 cables we use for the Ethernet. What are the advantages of coax cable? Data rate is high. Compare it to 100 Mbps. More than 100 Mbps data we can send by using the coaxial cable. Bandwidth is high. At a time, same information. That's why many television channels you are receiving through the coax cable because of its high bandwidth. Crosstalk is reduced compared to twisted pair cable. Both UTP and STP. Compare it to UTP, crosstalk in STP is less. Compare it to STP in coax, crosstalk is less. But why we are not using the coaxial cable everywhere in nowadays telephones, BSNL, everywhere? Why we are not using for telephony like coaxial cable? Because of the cost. And now we are discussing about the fiber optic cable. In the fiber optic cable, we are sending voice and data in the form of the light. Here we are using a core material, and then this is a core material we are using. On that we are using cladding. This is core and this is cladding. On the cladding we use the protective cover. So we are using core, and on that core we are using cladding. On the cladding we are using the protective cover. So here generally core is a glass or plastic material we will use. Either glass or plastic material we will use. So here we are using a core material. Around the core we are using the clad, and on the clad we are using a protective shielding. Here the data, whether it is voice or the data, that will go in the form of the light. That's why it is very much faster compared to the data that is going in through the fiber optic cable is very much faster compared to twisted pair cable and the coaxial cable. In what, by using what principle the data will travel in the fiber optic cable? That is a total internal reflection. Now we are discussing some of the advantages by using the fiber optic cable. First one is the weight is very much less. You can see the fiber optic cables are very thin cables. The compared to twisted pair cables and coaxial cables, the fiber optic cables weight is very less, and the cost is also less. And we are discussing about the security. Because the light information it is going, the security is high, and electric shock, because we are not using any electricity in between for the transmitting of the data, we are using the light. The electric shock, there is no chance for the electric shock, and the speed of the data is very much high, and bandwidth we can send 10 gigahertz. We can use the 10 gigahertz bandwidth, which is not possible by using the coaxial cable or twisted pair cable. Next, there is chance for interference is very less because we are sending the information in the form of the light. The chance for the usage of the repeaters also very less, because the light information we are sending, it is possible of we are sending the data without any attenuation. And next one, digital transmission is possible here. Digital transmission, we can send the digital data. We can send the entire digital data by using the fiber optic cables. If we send the digital data through the coaxial cable or twisted pair cable, there is a chance for the loss of information. We may misinterpret the bits 1 and 0. Okay, these are the advantages of the fiber optic cable. Where we use the fiber optic cable? We use the fiber optic cables in our building. You can see the fiber optic cables. For the telephone connection nowadays we are using, and for the internet, wherever you require internet, whether that is airport or whether that is submarine communication or ocean communication, or whenever you require any data which we want very securely to be transferred in the either in army or defense and air force services, we use the fiber optic cable.